Tonight's guest has built a career around one powerful question. How can technology serve people, not replace them? That question has taken him across the world, working alongside visionary builders and leaders navigating the fast-moving rise of AI. Bernard Januszewski stands at the forefront of the fourth industrial revolution, pioneering a virtual workforce that takes on repetitive tasks so humans can focus on what truly matters: creativity, empathy, and purpose. His mission goes beyond innovation. He is deeply committed to ensuring AI uplifts communities rather than leaves them behind, especially here in Ghana and across West Africa, connecting talent to global opportunities and shaping a more inclusive digital future. He believes that ethical human-centered AI isn't just possible, it's essential for driving growth, creating meaningful work, and building more responsive human organizations. He believes that ethical, human-centered AI isn't just possible, it's essential for driving growth, creating meaningful work, and building more responsive human organizations. Ladies and gentlemen, with the warmest Open Heavens Temple welcome and a deep sense of honor, please rise to your feet as we receive our distinguished guest, Mr. Bernard Januszewski. Let's celebrate him with a standing ovation and a resounding applause. We are truly glad to have you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. With that applause, I guess I can't top this, right? So I better go home now. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much to the church for having us here. I'm Bernhard Bernie Januszewski, I spare you my last name. I'm from Germany, from Bavaria more specifically. And for the past years, my beautiful wife here and myself, we've commuted back and forth between Europe and Ghana. We learned a few things. Ghana loves football, right? I'm from Bavaria. That tells you where my heart is, Bayern Munich. Any Arsenal supporters here tonight? Excellent. Congratulations for winning the Premier League. And please do me a favor and kick PSG's ass in the Champions League final, please. We also learned that I do not why you guys love spicy food. I don't know why. I really, it's hard for me to survive in this country. Thank God there's a brewery around the corner, so this is more of my core competence. But also what I know is Ghanaians love a good story, just like Bavarians do. And I would like to start tonight by telling a story about a legend. And Julius, that is where you can give me the first slide, please. The legend of John Henry. The next one, please. We want to go back 250 years. 250 years, you see that guy, John Henry. He's an athletic, muscular guy. His USP is strength, right? He's the strongest. He's working somewhere in the United States, and he's splitting rocks to progress railroad construction. He's a sought-after guy because of his strength. All of a sudden, an invention happens. The steam engine. Someone, I guess in England even, invented a steam engine, meaning if I heat up water and it expands, it creates strength. Now, good old John Henry here was self-confident enough to challenge the steam engine. He said, you know, let's have a competition. Me, the strongest on earth, versus the steam engine. Who can split rocks better? John Henry won. And then he died. And that is a story about the first industrial revolution. Human strength didn't become superfluous, but was augmented by something that was invented by humans, a steam engine. 250 years later, and Julius, next slide. We have to develop a rhythm, Julius. Next slide, please. Yeah. The world competition in coding took place in Japan, Tokyo. So these guys, they create software. The regional competitions, and the best of the best were summoned to Tokyo, Japan, to find out who's the very best. That event was sponsored by OpenAI, the company behind ChatGPT, and I'm sure most of you guys are using it. So the company behind ChatGPT sponsored this event. They had one condition only. They said, look, you guys will let us participate. An agent will enter the competition, an AI agent. About, I don't know how many hours later, who won? This guy, Psycho. Well, his nickname tells you about the character of the gentleman. A gentleman from Poland, he won, and he said, humanity has prevailed for now. He didn't die. I think he's still alive. But he's utterly exhausted. He could not possibly repeat what he just did, barely beating OpenAI's agent, who came in as a close number 2. This is the next industrial revolution, 250 years later. Now, it's not about human strength, but about cognition and intelligence. Scary and promising at the same time. Julius, please. What is AI, really? AI has been around for almost 100 years. The math is super simple. Math teachers here, just in case I'm going to misstate. Okay, cool. Those big models that most of us are using, what they do is nothing else but receive information, transform information, then make a decision whether or not that information is valuable enough to propagate to the rest of the network. Exactly mimicking what the human brain is doing also. This math has been around for 100 years, but only now with the compute power developing as it is, it actually becomes useful. What is more interesting for us is what can it do for me, for you, for all of us, for our organizations, for our families. It can do a lot. It can think, it can write, it can explain, it can become your companion. Julius. It's called artificial intelligence, but what is important to say here, yes, it is artificial, but it was invented by humans. The human brain, similar, performance capacity as AI, consumes a lot less energy than those big models. So thank you, God, for creating us so that we can create these things, the steam engine, but also artificial intelligence, the human invention. Right? Now, this is a tool. Now the question for tonight is, how can we use it? Julius. This gentleman has an opinion about what's about to happen. He's quite intelligent because he won a Nobel Prize in physics, even though he's not a physicist. Right? He won the Nobel Prize in physics, even though he's not a physicist. Why? Because he studies AI. And he says, you can read it, I think you can read it. AI is comparable with the Industrial Revolution. Instead of exceeding people in physical strength, that was long ago, 250 years. Now it's going to exceed people in intellectual ability. That creates a lot of questions for us. Again, how to use it, but also how to manage it. Julius. I like this. There's a compatriot of mine, a philosopher, who says, look, whenever there's change happening, truth is developing, it goes through phases. Number one, you make fun of it. AI. I can think, why do I need AI? Number two, we're opposing it. Why? Because it becomes a threat. And number three, the obvious. Didn't I always say it's going to win? When we talk to our organization, our clients, we're somewhere between 2 and 3. And the point that I want to make here is about change. And the slide is up now, shows New York, Times Square, I believe, only 13 years apart, as an analogy, as a precedent of change happening. What happened? Well, the car. Well, I'm German, so I need to talk about automobiles. 1900, one car on the road. 13 years later, it's only cars, one horse. I think it's helpful for us to remember what happened in the past, for us to learn from it and think about what are the capabilities that we need in order to manage the next industrial revolution. I want to leave a couple of thoughts with you when going through these different slides just to capture what I'm talking about. We believe as an organization change will come, maybe sooner than we think. We founded our company 10 years ago, and no one was really interested in it. We have different problems, whatever. This is changing rapidly. Now, if change happens, people will benefit and people will suffer. Next slide, please. So what happens to Africa when this comes? This slide shows the world. The darker the color, the older the country. The darker the color, the older the country. You see, Europe is pretty old. Trivia question, how old is Germany? Not the country, but the people that live in the country. On average, 47 years. Ghana, 21. 47 versus 21. The question is, when we go through change, old country versus young country, curiosity versus being risk averse, who do you believe has the better opportunities? This one shows what's going to happen over the next years, maybe. So the red bit that you see on the right-hand side is Africa growing, right? This is the demographic dividend. This continent will have a lot of young and curious people that can make a change. That's the reason, by the way, why we are here. When we started 10 years ago, the first team that we hired was in the US, out of Pittsburgh. Great people, smart, super expensive. Couldn't sustain it. So we thought, where do we go? Where is the right balance between access to talent and affordability for us to grow the business?